Hi everyone! Today I got a challenge from the wonderful lharrisonart. She sent me a video with this challenge.
Hey Sophie! So my art challenge for you is to use marker pens, fine liners and a pencil, and you can choose any surface you want to draw on, but it has to be white. Your prompt is idle, and you also have to include something that you can see around you in the piece. So for example, if you've got a lamp next to you, you could choose to draw that in the artwork itself. Just pick anything that you can see. So yeah, have fun and good luck.
So I got a pencil and an eraser, some fine liners. I do have more, but I will try to work with these ones. My paper, I choose Bristol paper because I heard that it works good with markers. So yeah. And markers. Most of them are Ohuhu markers, but I also have some Winsor Newton ones and 2 Copics that work, and the other ones I don't even try to use because I've used them a lot and they just don't work. So I will get the Copic markers and then we will start with my idea. Hi everyone from the voiceover. As you can see, we are not starting with the beginning of my sketch because I was so eager to start sketching that I forgot to turn the camera on. So I'm just showing you the 2 figures. We are starting here with a little girl. That is actually the thing that I painted because I see it around me. So the part from the challenge where I need to include something that I see into my artwork. It's this little painting of a girl with a balloon that has a special meaning to me, but I don't want to talk about this in more detail. So, and the next thing I thought about was how should I include an idol? And I thought I could just draw the idol of the girl, but I wanted to give it another meaning. So I thought of cool idols and I came up with a lot of them, but at the end I decided to be a fangirl and draw the Doctor from Doctor Who. Actually, it's the 10th Doctor. I hope at the end you can recognize that. I think if you know it, then you can recognize it, but if you don't know it, you probably won't get it. And of course, I needed to include a planet in some way. I regret this later on, as I will talk about then. Then I started with the markers, which gave me a hard time. I need to be honest with you. I'm not a person who works a lot with markers, and I tried to use them as similar as I could to watercolors, which did not work, of course. So yeah, well, the first thing is they don't blend as much as watercolors, so especially the Hoo ones had a lot of streaks. So I tried to blend it out with other markers and then started to use more of Winsor Newton ones in hope that they are better quality. I'm not an expert in markers by any means, so this was just speculation. And then I spent a lot of time with that code because I tried to create the color that I wanted and the shading that I wanted. But it was not easy for me. Really, really not easy. So this is not the color we end up with. I add like hundreds of markers on top of this. But yeah. Shading with markers was quite weird for me. I tried to use the technique I created in the Scroller Box video. And it was okay. It worked for me. I don't know if it's correct, and I don't know if I ruined the marker, but yeah. As you can see with the trousers and with the hair and so on, I sticked a lot to the Winsor Newton ones. I also realized that I had some dried up markers. One from Winsor Newton and one Uhuhu. I tried to work with them as good as I could, but yeah, I don't think I'm a marker person. Another thing that I don't really like about markers is that you can't mix colors or create colors. You have a certain set of markers that you can use, and this way I ended up with a color scheme, especially at the end, that to me looks like, don't blame me if that's the wrong time, but like the 70s or the 80s, where you had the violet with the yellow and, you know, Turkish green. It ended up looking like a jacket from my father then. And yeah, I'm not sure about the color scheme, but I still like the idea, and I like how the bristle paper worked with the markers. That's kind of cool, because normally I have texture on the paper, but this paper looks like I printed it on it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and here you can see the second dried up marker. I tried to use the other side, but no, completely ruined. And because this marker was dried up, I decided to use one of the markers. That was the reason I ended up with the 70-80 kind of color scheme. Yeah, it's just this green Turkish, and I liked it because it was a super juicy marker, but yeah. I regretted a lot with the planet because, again, my mistake was to try to use them as watercolors. So I tried to create the blending effect or somewhat similar effects than I create with watercolors. And I got quite frustrated. Then I went on to the Copics, which I need to admit probably work the best, but I think they are the most expensive, so yeah, probably no wonder. But from all of them, the lavender color blended the best, and I used it a lot for blending. And because the color scheme to this point was quite mixed up and there were so many different colors, I decided to go over the whole painting with some shades of these two colors so that it looks more cohesive. That's why I decided to make the tree violet. And the bush. And the grass. When I drew the stem, I started to realize something I don't like of the way the markers interact with the bristle paper. They kind of soak into it, and when you like make a small point on the paper, it kind of gets into a bigger circle. So this way I couldn't get as detailed as I wanted to, which was a bit annoying because I made the leaves first and then drew the stem, and yeah, it didn't really help me. After I finished drawing the grass, I ended up with a really flat drawing in my opinion. So I started to try and create more shadows, make the tree look more dark and more 3D, and try to create shadows on the grass. But the more I tried, the more I hated it, and I was in a point where I thought I'm going to throw it away and start over again. And then I tried to make the characters more cohesive and add some of the violet in there, as I told you earlier. And I like the code more this way. I don't know, that's one of the things that turned out the way that I wanted it. I also like the way I shaded the girl's legs, or them in general. I think they turned out really good, or at least the way I wanted them to. I blended the violet color with the lavender color and just added more details. Then I tried to add light to the painting, and then I tried to repair the planet. But now I just added the last color that was missing to create that super weird 70s look. And because I added it to the planet, I needed to add it to the rest too. So yeah, you know my rule. And then, because it looked so one-dimensional to me, I started to add another hill in the background. And at first, I really hated it. So I thought I go in with the fine liners because I didn't use them till that point, and I thought maybe this helps. And again, I'm happy with the way that the two characters turned out. I like the fine liner on them. It adds a little bit more detail. With the hair of the girl, you see that I didn't try to sugarcoat the reality. I tried to create really realistic hair, so there are some strands sticking outwards. That's just the way I remember having this kind of hairstyles. I also added fine liner to the bushes and to the tree. And to the hills, like kind of to everything except for the planet. And it looked better at the end, but I still wasn't at a point where I thought that it looked good enough. It was just not finished. So I went on with the struggle. Another hill is coming in. And after this hill, I still wasn't really happy with it, so I tried to shade them even more with the violet to make them really dark and look like they are really in the background, so maybe that adds depth, I thought. I tried to shade it too, because that's really easy with the Copic markers. But I still wasn't happy and it still wasn't really looking good. So I tried to add another hill. This time in the lighter color, because I thought hills are getting lighter when they are further away. And then it was too light, so I shaded it with the other color. And then I tried one last thing. I went in with some more trees, 2 more to be exact. I didn't give them as much detail as I gave the first one, just because they should look further away. In the end, I did all of this to create a painting with more depth. But still, I wasn't happy. Oh gosh, guys, I keep saying painting. I hope I can cut them all out, but if you hear a painting somewhere, I'm sorry, I'm just used to creating paintings. The last thing I tried to give the painting the depth I wanted and to make it balanced and look somewhat appealing to me was creating a sunset. So I went in with the yellow from the top, which at least helped to balance this more out and created a huge sunset. Now they had something they were staring at, you know, I thought of creating a TARDIS, but this seemed too dark. And at first I was like, they could look at the planet and it could be like the time wibbly wobbly thing that the Time Lords lead to look into. But then I thought they are just not looking upwards enough, so yeah. Now they are looking at the sunset. Then I added some grass and a little more details with the fine liners. And now I'm finished with the artwork. I don't know if I like it. It's a different color scheme, but at the end I'm not as unhappy with it. I think I repaired a lot of the mistakes I made. But I would be really interested in what you think about the artwork. Let me know in the comments, and I hope you had fun with the video. Don't forget to check out the lharrisonart's artwork. I gave her a challenge too. Of course, you can find all the links in the description down below. She made a really nice artwork, so don't forget to check it out. And while you're there, consider subscribing. She makes really cool videos. And thank you so much for watching. We will see each other next time. Bye!